Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out this episode of Really Dicey. My name is Manny, and I'm here with...
My name is Brandes Stoddard. I'm the developer and editor for the Southlands Player's Guide.
Excellent. I'm so happy that I get a chance to talk to you about this book. I think I stumbled across your work for the first time during the Candlekeep book that D&D produced earlier this year. And I loved your adventure. And when I heard that you were the line editor and developer for this book, I was very keen to ask you questions about it. So yeah, first, what is it like when with those two titles, when they're associated with this book? What is it like exactly? What does that mean?
Sure. So to take maybe the better known one first, editor, that's a job more people would be familiar with. That's just things like looking for typos and refining sentences to get to their meaning a little more succinctly, a little more clearly, that kind of thing. Changing the structure of something to again pretty much retain its original meaning, but get to it a little in some different way where necessary. There wasn't a ton of that was necessary for this text, frankly. In that way, the text was sent in very good condition. All of these are professional writers who'd done everything that a writer can reasonably do on their own to submit work that's in good shape. Then the developer's job is, it's like being the editor, but on a more mechanical level and maybe on a narrative level. There are some subclasses in here that I made more substantial changes to because I didn't feel that they were delivering the right subclass experience for 5e.
Okay.
Because of time constraints in the project, I wasn't able to engage in a back and forth with the writers. In most projects, there would be more dialogue there. This was just not that kind of project, and that's unfortunate, but here we are.
Okay. So we're talking about the Southlands Player's Guide by Kobold Press. This is a book to help you, of course, with the setting of the Southlands, but the Southlands is pretty much inspired heavily by Egyptian mythology. Would that be a right way to describe it?
I think that they go a good bit beyond Egypt in their inspiration. I think they're trying to be fairly Pan-African, as well as incorporating the Middle East or Southwest Asia, right, and North Africa. And so I don't want to sort of try to lay out the full creative experience that they're going on. That kind of like the creative direction there was handed from Wolfgang Bauer to the designers, right? I don't know exactly what he told them to make. And also, very pointedly, I'm not a sensitivity reader, right? I'm not trained in that at all. So I don't want to give anyone the impression that was work I did. Any good that exists there was done by someone else.
Oh, so do you mind sharing with us, I guess, some of the highlights of working on this book? I mean, I know as an editor myself that sometimes it's really hard work and can be really tedious, but working with, fantasy stories, there's always a joy in that. Would you be willing to share some of that?
So the exciting part to me was very much about just having as few touchstones as possible in a European mythology space, and just imagine things that were very different in that area while still recognizable within the rules engine of 5th edition D&D. Does that make sense? There are some really wonderful player races in here. There are subclasses that work in ways that are recognizable for 5e, but they're saying things that a Eurocentric setting can't say or wouldn't say, right? And I think those are a lot of fun. I really like the backgrounds that are going on here, because backgrounds are really good fun. So yeah, I mean, there's honestly a ton of content to see here in subclasses for every class. So if the designers and I have missed a mark for you as an individual reader with one subclass, I mean, wait 5 minutes, is another one coming. So I like how much we got to say in here, because it is such a focused book, right? It doesn't need to communicate the setting. There's a separate book for that. This is a companion volume to the Southlands setting books.
Are you challenged sometimes by editing something that that's like it's kind of the first time you're exposed to a to an item? For example, Knowles. You could be Knowles
Mm-hmm.
in the Southlands, but
Yep.
Knowles as a option, it's not. I don't think there's many books that I've known that use Knowles as an option. So
right. So in Core 5e right now, Knowles aren't a great player option because of their ties to Yenogu. In Multiverse of Monsters, coming out early next year, we're going to see that change from what they've said. Now, going back into some deeper history of D&D, there have absolutely been Knowles as a player race or ancestry. That's a fairly long pedigree. And so, like, this book is an updating of an older product, right? Which was, I believe, written for Pathfinder. And so there's some roots there, but and I could be wrong about this, but I think I'm correct in saying that the mechanics of the Knowles were already very firm for Kobold by the time I received them, because it's appeared in other Kobold books. That's true for a number of the subclasses and player races that, like, having appeared in other works, they didn't want to update them here. They just wanted to retain them as they were.
And being that
so for those, I was a text editor, but not a developer.
So you bring up a good question. So yeah, the original books were for Pathfinder, the original Southland books. Was that difficult? Did you have to look at old material and did some of it, was there a lot of challenges in trying to I don't know, converting is the right word, but
I did not approach it that way. I did not attempt to compare what the designer had sent me with anything from Pathfinder to, like, strengthen a synthesis there. Did the designers look at the Pathfinder text? Very likely. That was, however, upstream of me, and I didn't refer back to the Pathfinder texts. I've done a pretty fair amount of Pathfinder conversion work to 5e, working not for Kobold, but for Wright Publishing. And so I'm familiar with it as a practice. It is an interesting job of work because the complexity level and number of options that something needs to have is quite different.
Is there anything about this book that you're the most proud of in your
Um,
work?
I would phrase that as there are some ideas I got to um, bring into things I needed to change more, such that I am the most interested to see if the final outcome works. Um, I think that I took some big gambles, and I'm very excited about how people take them. Um, the Havoc Runner. Um, let's see. Yeah, the Havoc Runner fighter martial tradition is one where I felt like I was uh, taking a big gamble. It is a very like um, very literally hit or miss kind of mechanic where you're rolling lots of dice and things are going either really well for you or really badly. And I'm interested to see how people take that. Um, and so there's a few more like that where just uh, because I had to make greater changes, I'm very curious to see how those are received by the community.
Hmm, okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to share what goes on behind the books a little bit.
Yep.
Um, what are you working on now?
So I'm. Oh, well, actually, before we move on, I want to make sure I give lots and lots of thanks and credit to Amanda Hammond, who was um, the the lead editor for Kobold at the time that I came onto the project. She was just in process of stepping out to go work for Wizards of the Coast, and Thomas Reed came on, and they were both a delight to work with. I was absolutely blessed to get to know them through this project. Um, so, uh, having said that, my current projects. I'm working on designing classes for Talisman Fantasy Adventures. Um, it is a role playing game based on the Talisman board game. Um, I'm also working on Under the Seas of Vodari and the aquatic portion of the Vodari setting that Tribality released for with Seas of Vodari, right? So we've done our above the waves version. This is the below the waves version. So I'm working on that, and then I'm also working on an unannounced project that I can't go into detail about.
Hmm. So many secrets.
Hey,
But yeah, but that's how it is.
yep,
Um, Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. To our viewers out there, thank you for watching. Stay safe out there, get your shots, and we'll see you soon.